Feedback. Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am Thabiti Mpinda.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback,
A positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback. Feedback. Feedback.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
We're all the way live right here at WHPR, WHPS, 160 Victor Street, and you are tuned in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. We thank you all so much for tuning in and encourage others to tune in as well because we are now on for an hour and a half. We're expecting a guest to call in this morning to give us some great news. In the meantime, my name is Theo Broughton, co-founder of Hood Research, and my co-host.
Thabiti Mpinda, welcome.
Absolutely, and we want to give a shout out to some people this morning. The meeting we had this past Saturday was fantastic. We started out June the 8th, and there was a sprinkling of people in the room. And I said, oh my goodness, maybe they have gone someplace else that they might think is better. Anyway, before the day was over, we had almost 50 people there in the room with us. And we gave away concert tickets. There's a place that was called Shane Park, and it was renamed Aretha Franklin, amphitheater. And that just was kind of plain. So people now are calling it Aretha's. Doesn't that have a good ring to it? Aretha's. Anyway, we gave out concert tickets, raffled off, and there was a young lady, Tania, who was there, and she brought her grandfather with her. She got extra raffle tickets. And we had all kinds of gifts that we raffled off, and it was just a wonderful day, and we lifted up fathers. We wanted the men in our community to know how we appreciate them. We know that Father's Day is this coming Sunday, but the Hood Research meeting is on the second Saturday of every month. So we wanted to make sure that we treated them special. We had refreshments, and it was just a lovely day. It really, really was. And I want to say good morning to Rosa. Good morning to Barbara and Ron and Vera and Virginia and to Keith and to, oh my goodness, who else was it? There were so many people there. To Karen and to Wana, Tijuana, and to Bruce. Our ombudsman was there with us this past Saturday as well. And good morning to Judge Wanda Evans. She was there with us as well. Gary was there, and there were so many folks who turned out. It was just a fantastic day. The weather was beautiful as well. Thabiti, who you want to say good morning to?
Say good morning to Cheryl D., Gwen Renee, Brother Fred, Brother Shane, Brother Smith Bay, Sister Sheila Ragland, Jackie Bowman, Also, a happy birthday and shout out to Sasha Obama. This is her 18th birthday. Somebody tell her to tune in and tell the Obamas to tune in.
That's right. Well, Gary Hunter should be able to do that.
And want to say, have your friends, family, relatives, neighbors, co-workers, acquaintances to tune in also, and have pen and paper handy for valuable information you may want to record.
Absolutely. And I want to say happy Monday to Les, way on the west side, and happy Monday to Jay, way on the east side. You know, we have people who just tune in from all over. We even have a member of Hood Research who calls in and tunes in from Connecticut. Well, there's just a lot of things. You had some information to share with us, and we have some positive, I guess, affirmations about fathers. If you want to call in and share any good information you have, please call in at 868-4336. 868-4336.
There's going to be a challenge today,
Uh-oh.
folks, because as I mentioned to Theo earlier, I don't have my glasses. I've got 3 pair, but none of them where I need them, which is right here, right now. And also, I just want to make mention as well that we just would like all of you to include yourself in the conversation. Information we don't know. As you know, Hood Research is a think tank, so therefore we gather information and we disseminate information. Motto being people would do better if they knew better. I know some of you may be first-time viewers, so we ask you that because people, I know I do a lot of television surfing and radio surfing myself, always looking for the next or the newest or the best thing. Now I'm gonna struggle with this, folks. I admit this in the beginning. Usually I can see under these lights. This is called Foolish Heroics. The young farmer sat happily on the wagon seat at his spirited team made their way into a little Kansas town. After, this is not gonna work.
Uh-oh.
I apologize. I apologize. Without glasses, it's just I'm seeing.
It's too much of a
yeah.
seeing doubles.
I've been.
You know.
Maybe I'm reading too much.
There, but reading is good for you. We want to encourage everybody to share whatever they read. You know, all of the positive information that we can have is good for us. You know, Hood Research on this past Saturday had a lot of information shared with us. Gloria was there. Gloria Searles, she's on Tuesdays with Carl Williams. She was there and she was sharing information that she has gleaned as it relates to health food and herbs. And there was a lady who has a class out in Northwest Activity Center because she was emphasizing the need to strengthen the mind. The need to strengthen the mind. And she talked about how Alzheimer's is seeming to be running rampant throughout not just this community, but nationwide. And I often think that it may have something to do with all of the chemicals that are in the food, and perhaps chemicals in the water and all. And you know, we've been hearing about younger and younger people having heart attacks. And I had gotten some information about this, what is it called, energy drinks, and they drink a lot of that, and Courage 2, and it has a lot of sodium in it, along with whatever other chemicals they use. And that may very well be a contributing factor to younger and younger people having heart attacks. They're playing sports, and that's not something that we heard a lot about in decades past. But all of a sudden, our young folks are not being reported as healthy as they once were. So we need to be more aware of the foods that we purchase, the foods that we prepare, the foods that we eat.
I would add too that I recall conversations in the past with Gloria Searles, and there were a lot of things that she made known to us. Theo and I at one of our vending situations where we're selling books, poetry, etc. And Gloria happened to look around, and she was just showing me different plants, and she said, "You know what this is?" And I was just blown away by what I did not know. I have to say that, when we mention all the things that are the additives to these energy drinks, caffeine being one of the most notorious of them. And I know people who drink, this is not a slam against Mountain Dew, but there's an excessive amount of caffeine in their drinks. I know it with coworkers. I've worked with them, and some of them, because they needed that rush or that energy, would drink it. But then they would almost become, I don't want to say maniacal, but they were very amped or hyped up as a result of drinking. They would drink 2 or 3 during the course of a day. And as Theo mentioned, one of the things that's disconcerting, but we need to be very aware of, is that a lot of our youth, they have Red Bull. They have so many of these different power drinks, energy drinks. One's called Monster. Maybe it turns you into a monster. I don't know. But it definitely alters the reality that you're dealing with. So we need to be mindful of that, because the increase, this accelerated increase in health issues with our youth is something that's alarming. Certainly the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry don't mind at all, because their bottom line is their bottom line, which is profit. And I wouldn't even doubt, this is just my own thought, I wouldn't doubt that they would also have perhaps stock in some of those companies, because if I'm a pharmaceutical company and I know that if you drink a certain product which is going to contribute to bad health, then it would be in my best interest as the pharmaceutical company to say, well, let me get some stocks in this. And what they feel
That's right.
is worth investigating. And Theo made mention years ago about, as you know, these younger people like to play their music loud, and we had thought about, well, why not invest in some hearing aid companies?
Yes, in a hurry, And what's sad about that is it takes some time for a person's hearing to deteriorate, and they don't even realize what's happening. They just don't have a clue. But the children, I really feel sad for them, because they're in the vehicle with the person who's blasting the music, and their eardrums are tender, so their hearing is being impaired, and nobody's paying any attention to that. So over time, and theirs would start sooner because of their young age. So while they're in school, they may be having difficulty hearing the teacher, And oftentimes when that happens, the teachers may take a while to realize that the child is not ignoring what's going on in the classroom, from the teacher. They're having difficulty hearing. So,
And I guess, as you mentioned, children in the car and loud music, another thing to be concerned about is adults who smoke in the car, and the children are just captive. They have no way to do it. You can let the window out, but we always speak about secondhand smoke. And I guess it's critical because we have to look at it, and I don't think we look at it seriously. I was at a Father's Day get-together, which had this past Saturday. I attended that before I went to the Hood Research meeting. But one of the things that concern me is that a lot of times the adults don't even give a second thought to how they may impair the youth. I try to, as much as I can, make sure that I set a good example, but also suggest as well. So I think it's important for us to keep in mind that the children are the future, period.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what we do to them is another question, but they are the future. Our time is coming, it's here, and it's going. Theirs is just beginning, and we have to be mindful of what we expose them to on all levels.
That's right. Oh, I definitely agree with that. You know, I heard some things that just, they bother me. We have a man who has been hired as the superintendent of the Detroit Public School System, and he comes from the state of Florida. Well, one of the things that I'm hearing recently is that the games that students engage in are going to be scheduled for evening hours. Now, if you remember, some decades ago, that was discontinued because of the gang activity, because of the fact that all children do not have transportation from a athletic game to their home. So they end up having to walk through the neighborhood, and some of them walk through the neighborhood alone. So it was changed, and now he has come here from Florida, has no clue as to what goes on in this city, and he's changing the times of the sports events tonight. You know, I mean, is he trying to kill off some of the kids or what? So anyway, there are a number of...
I was going to ask you to mention one thing that was mentioned at the meeting, Theo, that you brought up about an abandoned house in the area of Drew Middle School in McKenzie, because this is something that Hood Research saw as a need and something that needed to be taken care of, and maybe you could share that.
Sure, that's some good news. I'm glad to share that. For a number of years, the administration at Drew High School, located on Wyoming, just a little north of Chicago, had been trying to get a house directly across the street from the school demolished. You know, there's a lot of conversation about our children needing to walk to school free of structures that could be used for no good, of course, to kidnap a child, you know, molest them, rape them, murder them, etc. So there had been a lot of effort put forth to get this place torn down. There were individuals who had worked to get this house torn down. And of course, as it sits there, it gets worse and worse, more dilapidated. The windows broken, doors open, and all of that. Grass all over the place, weeds all over the place. So we at Hood Research heard about it, and we put forth our efforts to try and get this house demolished. And I am happy to say that we have been given a scheduled date during which this dwelling is going to be demolished, and that date is August the 4th. Has anybody ever heard of a demolition watch party? Ever heard of that? We want to have a watch party on that day, and the principal at Drew School was contacted, and he has said he thinks that's a good idea, you know. So at this point, we think that we're going to be in Drew School watching the demolition of this house on Wyoming. I believe the address is 9625. And we will be excited to do that. We may have popcorn and and Kool-Aid or something, but we do want to do that. Some people may bring their folding chairs in it, but it's going to be a celebration to finally have that structure demolished. It takes time. People may say, well, why August? You know, well, of course, there is a process. There is a need to make sure that the water to that dwelling is turned off, that the gas line has been shut down, discontinued, capped to that dwelling, and also electricity. So those are some of the things that have to be done to prepare a property to be demolished. Did you know that?
Well, as a construction person, yes.
You know that. See, I knew you knew that. But we're really happy about that taking place.
And we have to be mindful too how environment affects psychology. And I say that because many times we hear about youth who have to walk by high weeds, abandoned homes, and those type of things. Of course, we know the dangers that those who are deviant may bring about. But even on let's say on the framework of psychology, where a child sees that, or anyone sees that, by the way, and then there's a depressing aspect that comes along with it. So it doesn't set a good mental tone to have. I don't want to call it negative, but negative. Let's say expressions of deterioration in the environment, and a child has nothing, or an adult for that matter, has nothing to look up or look forward to. And I know that I saw over the weekend in the news there were certain places, O'Shea Park being one of them in Detroit, where there were a group of people, volunteers, who got together and they refurbished the playground, and then they did help some of the residents in the neighborhood. But I want to say to the neighborhood people, you need to, in your own neighborhood, take action. Don't wait for outsiders, because in many cases, there are people from suburban communities who come and get involved, and of course some of the neighborhood residents. But we don't need to let others initiate something we can do ourselves. And too many times I pass I'm all over the city and out of the city, but I pass where I'll see 4, 5, 6 people congregated. Maybe they're sitting there, they're not really doing anything, and then I look at the home or the area that they're in. Nobody's taking an initiative to maybe cut the grass or pick up paper or something. It's just like they're lounging outside, like they're at a park, and they just feel like they can just toss something any kind of way. So I say that to say that we need to take care of our own communities, as opposed to waiting for someone to say, it looks kind of bad over here on Shane and whatever, let's do something. The people over on Shane need to do something.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, the city has a number of codes and ordinances. We do have a charter. And by the way, I encourage people to attend the charter meetings. And there's one that's taking place tomorrow at Butzel Family Center on Kirchville Van Dyke. But the ordinances are not enforced. When you have a municipality that has hundreds of thousands of people, you have to have enforcement of city codes and ordinances, unfortunately, but it has to be done. So when you have a department, some of them are in traffic enforcement, etc., and you don't have enough personnel in the area of law enforcement, then folks just say, well, I don't feel like doing it, They will get away with whatever they can get away with. And when you see someone driving down the street and the passenger in the car just rolls down the window, rather than keep their trash and discard it once they get to whatever their destination is, to just throw it out of the window is disrespectful, not just to the community, but to themselves. It's disrespectful to themselves, And we need to encourage those who have an interest and a mind to join the law enforcement department here in the city of Detroit. You may want to be a part of the cadets while you're in school and learn what you can. You may want to attend the police commission meetings, and there's one that's coming Thursday, which will be at a church at 4950 Oakman Boulevard. It's to 6 o'clock. And learn what you can from the police commission. That is a body of civilians or residents, citizens, who oversee the police department. And I hear there's a whisper around town that there's an effort afoot to get rid of the police commission. That would not be a good idea. The citizens have a police commission, and the commission is made up of 11 people. 4 are appointed by the administration, but the others are voted on by us. And we need to have that kind of oversight. And one oversight has been put in place since Mayor Coleman Alexander Young was alive and mayor of the city of Detroit, because as many of you know, he was responsible for getting rid of the stress unit that was in the police department. And the civilian oversight was put in place to continue monitoring so that we don't have the kind of police abuse that exists in some of the cities. And young black men are getting shot in the back, shot in the front, side, and without any kind of conscience. You know? So a consideration for that is definitely needed, I think.
One of the things I want to add when you speak about young black men, and some of you may have heard about this over the weekend, many of you may be familiar 30 some odd years ago or 20 some odd years ago about the Central Park Five.
Okay.
And African American director Ava DuVernay did a more or less a documentary on how everything unfolded. And this and it's called When They See Us. She didn't want to use the Central Park Five because, again, as the title, because again that's what they were identified or branded as, the Central Park Five. All of them eventually were released from prison. I believe most of them stayed 8 years. One individual who was considered an adult at the time got out, stayed 12 years. But I want to report that Governor Bill de Blasio, who was one of the proponents for these men being compensated, they just received by federal judge compensation for the time. Although you can't give them back their youth, 4 of them received I apologize, $7,125,000, which is basically $1 million for every year that they were incarcerated, and one received $12 million because being charged as an adult, he received a longer jail sentence. But again, this was our young black men, a rush to judgment to decide, well, we have to find somebody, a scapegoat. And when the individual who actually committed the attack, Mr. Reyes, came forth later and mentioned that, yes, he was the one, and then through DNA they were able to say, okay, yeah, this is the gentleman who did it.
Wow.
Now, no one ever apologized to these young men. They're still stigmatized by that thing, even though the court has decided, obviously by releasing them, that they were free. But it's an unfortunate thing that once a black man is labeled or given a title, or even though he's exonerated, people still hold that image and stigma against him. But I just want to say, fortunately, that these men were given monies for the improper and illegal incarceration of them. So we have to be very mindful of how this system works when it comes to our young black men and women as well. So I guess that's good news in a way that at least they receive compensation, but the scar is with them for the rest of their life.
Right.
And some people, including number 45, who still, even, I think when the verdict was, not when the verdict was written, but once they were compensated, he still held his position that they should have been locked up. But of course, we've got a nut job in the White House, so we shouldn't expect anything less than that.
What was his, well, not that he has a reason, but an explanation. Did he state why he felt they should have remained in jail? Is that what he said?
Yes. His thing is that he can't be seen as wrong even when he's wrong. So obviously, as we know, his advisors, administrators try to tell him one thing, but when you're dealing with someone who doesn't listen, then it's just a waste of breath. So even if I gave him an orange and said this is orange, if in his mind it's yellow or green, that's what color it is.
Yeah, and it's a banana, not an orange.
But I just wanted to acknowledge that the young men were compensated. And I think that the documentary, which I've only seen trailers of, is very fitting. And I'm just glad, and I would add this, that our black directors, people who are in the media, I think it's incumbent upon them to take a stand. We as a group, individuals, we can do certain things, and sometimes we have to do them in groups. But when we have people who have the right platform, LeBron James proves that as well, and some of the
Right.
other ones, when you have a platform like we have here, it's necessary for us to make sure that the information that the mainstream, lamestream media might propagate, that
Right.
we correct them on that at every turn.
Oh, wow. I would like to have you all hold on. We need to take a break. Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback. And we are live, all the way live, right here at WHBR, WHBS. And we are waiting for our guest to join us this morning. And we were looking so forward to the information that he was going to share with us. And hopefully he will call in. We have someone on the line to talk with us this morning.
And we welcome you to the program. Hello.
Is she-
Hello.
Good morning.
Hey, happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday. I didn't hear you sign in. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I heard you guys had a wonderful meeting. I'm sorry I was so tired from moving I couldn't make it, but I heard your meeting was the greatest. You
Oh,
guys had a great time.
Yeah, yes it was. Yes it was.
Yes, and great information.
Mm-hmm. And
Are we going to keep our ombudsman, or are they trying to dissolve that department?
I did hear that.
Okay.
And if that is done, I would expect that they would what they call grandfather it in, because he is the ombudsman for a total of 10 years. Each one that we have had has been there for 10 years. So
Okay.
he has, I don't know, maybe 6 years or so left. And if they do that, then I would expect that change would be grandfathered in. However, it to target that department and target the police commissions, and they've already disrespected the citizen district councils and
Yeah.
come up with the citizen advisory council, which is absolutely worthless. That is to make sure that the administration of the city of Detroit, regardless of who it is and what year, will have total control. That's really what it would amount to, them having total control. You know?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm praying that we get some help and we get more support, we as the people, to support our charter, because we already know we got corporate plants in there, and I believe it's about 6 corporate figures that's already planted in our charter, and we have to do our due diligence to make
Right.
sure that we don't allow this corporate to rule,
You're
because
right.
we know what it would cost for the citizens in our
You're-
communities.
You are so right. And you know, on any given day, the charter meetings are shown on Channel 10 through Comcast Cable. But the issue with that is they're shown very late at night.
Yes.
Midnight, 1 a.m. Most people are, asleep by that time. Well, at least not watching
Exactly.
TV.
In the dawn of the day, in the night, in the dark, in the dawn.
You're right.
Dawn hours.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So there are some people who do remember to turn on, maybe take a nap and watch that broadcast. of the meeting that was held the previous day or a few days before. And that
Right.
gives them an opportunity to at least keep up with some of the things that are going on. I
right.
guess my question is, do they videotape all of the committee meetings as well as the general meetings? Do you know?
I've only seen the charter meetings, and like you said, they're in the dawn of the night, in the middle, in the dark. But I haven't seen the committee
The committee.
meetings, no.
They
And
season-
I'm trying to figure out if they're doing what they need to do to advertise to the public when their meetings are, when and
Uh-huh.
where.
Right, you're right. You're absolutely right. They definitely need to do that. And the committee meetings, I think, are important to be taped as well.
Exactly.
The one I heard over the weekend that there's one tomorrow at Bustle Family Center.
Okay.
And,
At what, 5, 6,
but-
what time?
Well, they didn't tell me what time, so I don't know, maybe you can find that out and call us back and let us know. But
Okay.
we definitely need to encourage people to attend those meetings, and we definitely need to have people to decide, talk over, and write out a proposal on those changes that they would like to see happen. There's a
Okay.
gentleman by the name of Richard Clay who came prepared to one of the past meetings, and he had his recommendations already written out
Okay.
and submitted them to the city charter commissioners for their consideration, and that was a good thing to do. And then he could also make sure that the community knew the recommendations that he was providing for them as well.
Okay.
What other good
All right.
stuff have you heard?
Well, there will be Senior Friendship Day coming up, but that's not till July, so I'll get that to you with a date. It'll
Okay.
be at the Aretha Anthem Theater,
Oh, yes.
former St. Park. And
Aretha's.
it usually starts about 11 till 2 or 3, where the seniors can come in free,
Uh-huh.
have free entertainment, have vendors to educate them for different other needs of medical and recreational activities that they could learn about.
Mm-hmm.
And they will have entertainment, and we will feed them a lunch.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's coming up in July. It's called Senior Friendship Day. They have it every year
Oh, okay.
when they can have time. They can have a good time on the water, on the river.
Oh,
And,
nice.
Just enjoy free entertainment and get some knowledge and some
Very.
education.
Very nice. And you know, this past Saturday at the Hood Research meeting, we gave out 2 sets of tickets for the concerts at Shane Park, now known as Aretha's.
Aretha.
And one of the sets was for Gladys Knight.
Knight.
Oh, yeah. A set of tickets was for Gladys Knight, you know?
Ooh, yeah.
Right, right. Oh, it was real nice. Really nice.
I believe you.
Mhm.
I always know you guys are great at helping to educate, and you have a little fun, have some recreation and some education in your meeting, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I think that's
Well,
good, too, because it helps people to bond.
Exactly, you know.
To get to know one another and
Exactly.
enjoy working together, you know?
And right, and the people enjoy and they relax and comfortable enough to add and share their concerns
Mm-hmm.
and some solutions.
Exactly, exactly.
And that we need that outlet, not just thank Hood Research for all they do, because
you.
you share and you care.
Oh, thank you so much for that. You did hear that we're going to have a demolition watch party. Did you hear about the building we're having torn down August 4th?
No, I
Uh-huh.
didn't.
Yes, well, on August the 4th, there is a structure across from Drew School, which is on Wyoming, a little north of Chicago Boulevard. And we were successful in having that structure scheduled to be torn down on August the 4th. So,
Oh, wonderful,
mhm.
wonderful.
And the principal is so happy about it because for years, he and his staff had been trying to have it torn down, and other individuals had been trying to have it torn down. So I am very proud to say that Hood Research has been successful in getting that structure down.
And I'm happy to hear that story because I have a senior who has been waiting and asking for help for the longest, and I will have that person contact you.
Okay. All
Yes.
righty.
Thank
That'll
you
be
for
good.
taking my call, and if I
Oh,
find
no
anything else that I need to announce, I will call back.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we appreciate that. And let us know the time, if you can, about that charter meeting at the Butzel Family Center on the
Oh,
east
yes,
side.
yeah, I'll call in.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye now. You were saying?
Again, we appreciate everything that Sylvia brings to the air. I have to say she's one of our best foot soldiers. She's out there on the front
You're a
lines.
researcher.
And that's what we ask all of us to be. You know, you don't have to be the captain or the general or the lieutenant, but just be a soldier in our cause, because this cause, whatever it is that we strive for, benefits us one and all.
That's right.
And I make it a point is we can't be at every event. We can't put every fire out, but we can put a fire out where we're at.
That's
And
right.
every time we do that, we have one less fire that we have to deal with. And let me just throw in real quickly, if any of you aren't registered for the 2020 election, why not? And if you are, then encourage those around you as well, because things creep up on you quicker than you can realize sometimes. And then you'll find yourself at the deadline, or the deadline has passed. So we have to make it a point. Of course, we've got over 24 candidates running for the Democratic presidential nomination. That's a circus in itself. I thought it was bad when there were 17 Republican candidates.
Right.
And here we go with all these people out of nowhere.
Yes. And when Al Sharpton had his convention, there were a number of them who attended it. And one of the questions he asked was, did they support reparations for the black community? And I think they were kind of stunned to even hear that question asked of them. You know, it's I don't know, it's kind of sad. I understand that you cannot empathize with a group or a person if you have not gone through the experiences that they have had. And I understand that white privilege exists, and white supremacy is something that those who are white enjoy. But by the same token, when they read and know that there are other ethnic groups, okay, who have received reparations, you got to wonder, well, why are they believing the propaganda and looking down on us? Don't they think for themselves?
You know, it would be nice if people thought for themselves, Theo, but thinking requires effort. People don't like making effort nowadays. I'm just an avid reader and love to read, love to grasp information, to share information, and to make sure that it's correct. But a lot of people now, particularly in this society, sound bites, catchphrases are
Instagram.
that's the news du jour. Anything that someone has said, if it sounds good, maybe we should do the same thing too, but we just use different catchphrases, sound bites, so that people will grasp onto them as well. But most people, and I know that everyone has legitimate responsibilities in their life. You know, they have to work, they have to provide for their families, they have to pay their bills and everything.
Right.
But as Theo has taught me, and this is one thing I really cherish, that you don't really understand the measure of how politics affects your life, but every politician and the decisions they make, the bills they bring forth, those are the things that really affect your life. So all those other issues that you deal with as your responsibility as an adult in the society are affected by politics. If you're not engaged in the politics, then someone sitting in a state legislature or a national legislature will make those decisions for you. And for us to sit together at the lunch table at work and gripe about what's going on rather than being proactive, being reactive, we have nothing to show for it. And I'll be honest, if say for instance your garbage collection, if you don't complain about them picking up your garbage, they could care less because it's obviously not in their area. They don't have to deal with it. So Politics is it's not a spectator sport. You have to participate.
Yes, definitely. You'd have to participate. And you have to understand that politics is on every level. Even if even if it's with little children. A friend of mine was telling her grandchild, who was, I think she said he was about 6 years old or so, that he had to go to bed at whatever time, was he's going to go to bed. And he's like, well, do I have to? So she says, well, let me say this. If you go to bed at whatever the time is, then tomorrow we're going to go to, I guess, a Dairy Queen and get whatever it is. So, so he says, okay, he thought about it. That was a decision that sounded good to him, so he went to bed. But all of these policies that go on, so the next time it was another day, time to go to bed same time. He says, I have to go at this time. Yes, you have to go at this time. He said, well, let's discuss this. Let's talk about it. If I go at this time, tomorrow then, do we get to go to the Dairy Queen? He did not forget the new the new law. I guess she was laying down, so she just kind of chuckled to herself and says, "Okay, we'll go." But I think children learn that grandparents are a soft touch.
Well, I have to admit I am, but I'm firm in giving guidance, but I am going to make sure that a child can enjoy their youth. And another thing I'm going to add to that political thing is that the Secretary of State, who has received a lot of complaints from students who were in college about I guess they used to bring mobile voting machines and other things to colleges.
Yeah.
Some of the students weren't receiving that, so the Secretary of State has made an effort now. She says she will make sure that students on colleges, and this is throughout the state, are able to vote where they're at, because as many of you know, a lot of students who maybe they live in Albion, Michigan, but they're going to Michigan State, or they're going to U of M, U of D, or whatever college they're going to,
Right.
don't have access or let's say reasonable access to voting. So the students themselves registered this complaint. Again, this is to show how when people are proactive, you can have action taken care of. So now the Secretary of State is going to make it easier for college students to be able to vote. And as a matter of fact, she said something along the line that I don't know if this was her own personal feeling, or if it was prompted by the complaints of the students, but she said she did want to make sure that in this 2020 election that's coming up, that students who are on college campuses had a greater ability to be able to vote. So again, what I'm trying to say is that we have to be proactive, because if we wait for a politician, most of them are looking for tenure, and many of them are looking for that lifetime check they have after they've received tenure. So if you don't register a complaint, and we have, on every level, we have state representatives, state senators. Do you even know who your state representative or state senator is? Do you know who your precinct delegate is? All of these people are influential in being able to determine what kind of lifestyle you have, what kind of roads you're going to have, whether you're going to have waste pickup. There's so many other variables, and these affect every citizen. It's not just like it doesn't affect my neighborhood. It affects every neighborhood. There are neighborhoods who have developed coalitions, they have block clubs, etc., who will get together. And this is one of the beautiful things about Hood Research. We will bring in people who are influential, whether they're judges, as we had at the last meeting, ombudsman. It doesn't matter. We have lawyers come in. We have people who are in the educational system. These people are full of information, along with people like Sly Soul and other people that we have come in who bring information, because there's no clearinghouse for all the information. We actually have to have other people contribute. So again, 2020 is next year. I mean, we're, what, 6.5 months away from it or so?
Yes.
Are you ready? Because whether you're ready or not, it's still
It's
coming.
coming. It's definitely coming. I agree. Now, another thing as it relates to election and voting, now you don't need to make up a reason. You don't need to lie and say you're going to be out of town. My understanding now is if you want to vote absentee, you can vote absentee. You just put in the request and fill out the form, and the clerk will send you your ballot. And generally, the absentee balloting starts 6 weeks prior to the election day, whether it's the primary or the general election. It's about 6 weeks before the primary or 6 weeks before the general election. And the absentee ballots go out, and people get a chance to cast their vote on the issues and the candidates as well. So you need to know that. Now, we were talking earlier about our young people. Well, I should really say everybody, because people are influenced by what they see, what they read, what they hear. And that's one reason why street signs are named after what someone considers a notable person. Freeways, okay, buildings. And it's, it's interesting that now that black folks are interested in having streets named after notable people, buildings named after notable people, you know, there seems to be a pushback. Now, there is a person who is a Republican. His name is John James, who is going to run against, oh, Jesus.
Gary Peters.
Gary yes. Peters. John James is an African-American Republican, and he ran against Debbie Stabenow the last time, and he lost. They're saying he lost about 6% or so of the vote. But it's someone to beware of, because John James involves himself with the Federalist concept, and that is to keep the good old boys in charge. I have yet to understand why he would be concerned with good old boys being in charge, but nevertheless. When he ran against Debbie Stabenow, there were a number of people saying, well, what has she done? What has she done? Well, she's done a few things, and Vera, who calls in, was sharing some of the things that she has done. But there's one thing in particular that impressed me with Debbie Stabenow, and that is the United States Patent Office branch. The only branch outside of Washington, D.C.'s main patent office is located inside the city of Detroit. The U.S. Patent Office branch located inside the city of Detroit is named after Elijah McCoy. And for anyone who's not familiar with Elijah McCoy, who was an inventor, he is the person who invented the coupling mechanism that lubricates train wheels, the metal train wheels. When the trains were going originally with the installation and invention of them, they could not go very far without having to stop and cool down the wheels. We are now at the 10 o'clock hour. We will be here for another half an hour, and I want you to stay tuned. We want to have a station identification.
And I just want to say briefly, the caller who's on the line, hold on, we'll get with you right after the break.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback, feedback, feedback. And we are back. So, thank you so much for staying with us for the next half an hour. And I just wanted to conclude the information that I was sharing about black history. Elijah McCoy, a black man, an inventor, who came up with the coupling mechanisms to continuously oil the wheels of trains. And it was so successful. There was some supremacists who said, well, we can't let that do that. We're going to come up with one too. Well, they did. They invented theirs, but it didn't work. So there were folks who bought the imitation and brought them back to the general store. Here, you can have this back. I want the real McCoy. So Elijah McCoy successfully continued to manufacture his coupling mechanism that oiled the trains. You know, that's a bit of history. But the bottom line is Debbie Stabenow was instrumental in having the only United States branch patent office located here in the city of Detroit, the only one outside of the main patent office in Washington, D.C. You should take some time, go over there, go inside. They have a large painting of this man so that you don't have to guess. You see, looking at that picture, that he's an African American who has had a successful invention that we can all be proud of. And let the children know, your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, let your friends know. Everybody still may not be aware of Elijah McCoy.
And before we get to our guest, this other book I have has a little larger print, so I just want to read this real quickly. Elijah McCoy, born in 1843, passed in 1929, an inventor. McCoy was born in Canada to slaves who had escaped via the Underground Railroad. He was sent to Scotland to study mechanical engineering, then settled in Detroit. When racial prejudice prevented him from being hired as an engineer, McCoy was forced to take a job as a fireman on the Michigan Central Railroad. At that time, all trains had to be stopped periodically so they could be oiled by hand. McCoy developed a device that lubricated machinery automatically while it was still in operation. He received a patent for it in 1872. McCoy developed numerous variations of his device for use with other machinery, as well as other inventions, acquiring 42 patents in all. His inventions were soon in use around the world and resulted in the saving of millions of dollars. Others tried to copy his work, as Theo said, but many people refused to accept substitutions. In a phrase that has become a part of the American language, they said they wanted the real McCoy.
Hey, woo woo!
Okay, and now we're going to allow our guests to join us in conversation. Hello, can you tell us?
Keith, are you with us?
Yes, my name is Keith Hines, Diamond Tube Productions, UIA Research, Detroit We People, and on and on and on. And here I'm talking about the real McCoy.
That's right, a lifetime member of Hood Research and also a part of the Tuskegee Airmen. You have
Yes,
some...
that too, Tuskegee Airmen, that's right. Yes, that's Detroit chapter.
Yeah, so I understand you have some exciting news that is being developed, something called Daytech.
Right, Daytech is coming up, but you know, with the thing with the real McCoy, Henry Ford actually communicated with him as well to get his knowledge and information.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, because he wanted the real McCoy.
Yeah, right, right. And now Ford owns Michigan Central Railroad on Michigan Avenue. Isn't that something? Yeah, it is something. A turn of events.
Yep, but yeah, you probably want to hear about Daytech. I know
Yes.
wants to hear about Daytech.
Right.
It's not completed yet.
Okay.
We just got a few more dots to cross,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be the Detroit Aerospace Technical Engineering Corridor.
Wow.
I would say, what the heck am I
Say,
talking about?
say that again. DATEC, DATEC. Okay.
Right. DATEC, DATEC,
Okay.
the DATEC project.
And it stands for
Detroit
Detroit
Aerospace
Aerospace
Technical
Technical
Engineering
Engineering
Corridor.
Corridor. Okay. Okay.
And the reason why we call it a corridor is because it's going to stretch from 6 Mile to the river,
Wow.
down Connors.
From
I say,
6.
what is that? It's just a street. It's not just a street.
Wow.
It's aviation heaven. Aviation education engineering heaven.
Mm-hmm.
First, we got the airport.
Uh-huh.
Coleman A. Young Municipal Airport.
Right.
Okay, then you come down, you got Wayne County Community College once you cross the freeway, I-94.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Samaritan Center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we got Chrysler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we got DTE
Mm.
on the river. But the thing is, if we go back up to the airport,
Mm-hmm.
we have Davis Aerospace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're getting ready to restart the avionics course there.
Mhm.
And a lot of people really don't understand what Davis Aerospace is really about.
Okay.
So they think about, they go first to flying. But see, Davis Aerospace Technical High School is actually, and this is kind of lengthy, but it's an aviation, educational, design, maintenance, repair, testing facility that specializes in avionics.
Mm-hmm.
Flying came later.
Okay.
They didn't build it to fly, they built it to keep the planes in the air.
Mm-hmm. So they taught the students about the mechanics of the aircraft, right?
Right,
Okay.
right. The mechanics, aerodynamics, the repairs,
Mm-hmm.
the and how to do the repairs. You know, say like welding.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
Welding,
they were able to get some very lucrative positions once they graduated from Benjamin Davis Aerospace School, right?
well, they could go anywhere they wanted. I mean,
Wow.
Imagine a young kid graduating from high school.
18.
He gets a job somewhere, okay, and they said we're gonna send you to an apprenticeship program. Like say you want to be an electrician. And
Wow.
we send you to the apprenticeship program, which you'll be overqualified to take the apprenticeship test.
Uh-huh.
So you'll walk right in real easy.
Mm-hmm.
But they give you, of course, you got to take in welding.
Mm-hmm.
Only you're welding aviation grade level,
Wow.
okay, which is
Yes.
at the top. And you're being taught SAE, which is good enough to keep the car on the road.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But aviation level, no flaws, zero.
Mm. Wow. And then
Aircraft.
later on, they started teaching them to fly the aircraft so they could
Yeah.
become pilots when they graduated from high school.
Right.
And that's
Flying
so-
came
that's
later,
wonderful.
years later, when the Tuskegee Airmen adopted the school.
That's wonderful. Uh-huh.
Yep, they
Wow.
brought the flight courses in and
Right.
stuff, and they were the ones that really pushed the avionics for
Mm-hmm.
the school.
It's wonderful.
And,
So
and
now,
avionics is very important. It's all around us. Your cell phone is avionics. I mean, it has to communicate with the satellite up there in the sky. Every kid likes to fly a drone. You know, that's all avionics. You know, it's the electronics that keeps the planes and the let's say items in the sky. Because,
okay.
there's so many different things up there now.
right. Yeah, there's a lot. There's-
Right, but and see, back at the reason why we're going to call this the corridor,
Mm-hmm.
the DATEC project,
Mhm.
is because we also have the Civil Air Patrol
Mm-hmm.
operating now out of the airport. You know,
Okay.
We just had put a $1 million addition onto the
Wow.
airport. Yeah, a lot of people don't even know. Just put a
Yeah, see the
one
Tuskegee
thing in
Airmen. Oh yes, lot to be proud of. But tell me,
Right.
what does a Civil Air Patrol person do?
Civil Air Patrol, it's kind of like the ROTC, aviation.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's like the ROTC of aviation, and they play a big role in a lot of things that go on. Like when there's an issue, somebody gets lost or something, you know,
Okay.
you always say they're going to call the Civil Air Patrol,
Yes.
and because they're all trained in search and rescue.
Ah, search and rescue. Okay. So if someone is lost, say, I don't know, say Kensington Park, say somebody got lost out there, would the Civil Air Patrol members be involved in that?
Yes, they could be involved in it. It
Okay.
could be, perhaps maybe might be just, you see one little lone plane flying over in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably got a Civil Air Patrol person in it. And you might see some down on the ground even.
Okay.
Let me ask follow up to that. I seem to remember probably within the last 6 weeks, there was a plane that went down, and they were having trouble finding it. So Civil Air Patrol would also be a part of that. That they would, I guess, survey the lakes or whatever to find either the individual or the wreckage of the airplane.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. So we have that. That's operating out of the airport. We also have, of course, Friends of Detroit City Airport. That's Beverly Kendall Walker. She's really the head of all this. You know, she helped put a lot of this stuff together.
Wow.
And
Who is
this
it?
is just it coming to, coming to
yeah.
the top. We also
Yeah.
have the Tuskegee Airmen Detroit chapter operates
Mm-hmm.
out of the airport.
Wow.
We have the Black Pilots of America.
Black Pilots of America.
Wow. Black Pilots of America. Ooh.
Black Pilots of America.
Oh, yes. You know, Beverly Kendall Walker has really dedicated a lot of time and energy and just caring, to help to make these events successful. And we really appreciate her for the work that she does as well as for the work that you're doing, too.
Yeah, she's got a big heart. She's dedicated. She's been involved with the airport, forever,
Right.
That's like her child.
Yes, uh-huh. And you're expecting this Daytech to be up and running by September, hopefully?
Well, we at least want to make sure we get the avionics part returned back to Davis Aerospace.
Yes,
Mexico
yeah.
High School.
Yes,
Because
yes.
that is one of the major key components. We talk about vocational skills.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably it's at the top of all vocational skills.
I see.
And the avionics, especially with all the electronics and things that are coming up now, all that happening. A day doesn't go by where you don't hear somebody talking about drones, or you don't take and see, like if you turn on MSNBC, some event happening, they're shooting it from the sky from a camera in a drone.
Wow, yeah.
It's interesting too because I noticed that some of the major, I guess, big block places like Walmart and other places are using drones as delivery too. So that is I guess it's just getting really off the ground. So anyone who's involved in that field, the possibilities are endless.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We even have a company called ASX that's operating out of the airport. They design and build drones.
ASA?
Right, which are
Oh,
ASX.
AXX.
Yep.
Wow.
X is in the X. Yeah, Malcolm
Okay.
X.
Well, Wayne County Community College is right there near the Coleman Young International Airport. And I know that they have some classes that lead one to drones, I guess drone construction, if you will. They have 3D printing. They have a lot of classes that are very beneficial for our people in our community, and even classes for seniors. And if you're 60 years of age or older, you can take classes at Wayne County Community College free of charge.
Yes,
So-
we've been in communications with Wayne County Community College,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like one of, I would say, one of the major components to this project because we're talking about technical engineering corridor.
Yes.
You know,
And it
so
would be
in other
taught.
words, we're going to go beyond what would just be a school that teaches maintenance, repair, and flight. We have a college. We actually have a campus, an aviation campus. If you can imagine having all the components of a college, I'm talking about a huge college associated with aviation technology. And when I'm saying aviation technology, we're going all the way to the moon, to Mars, and
Wow.
you name it. VTOL stands for vertical takeoff and landing.
Wow.
That's coming in the future. Personal vehicles are going to be able to take off from your driveway and take you away.
Well, I got issues with that.
Well,
Listen,
you know, it's
these
cool.
drivers in these vehicles don't do a good job on the street. Now, you talk about getting them taken off vertically and in the, oh no. There'll
Well,
be cars falling out of the sky.
It'll be autopilot. They have to file a flight plan. It'll be autopilot. You know, and see, we have the college there. That's where the technology for the batteries and everything comes from.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's science never stops. We're still learning when it comes to science and technology. We're just learning.
You know, I want to add quickly, I was going through a course catalog, continuing education for Wayne Community College, and I happened to notice that they have, I believe it's at the Downriver campus, where you can actually study for airport, learning how to fly an airplane. I guess you get your license. You can get your license through Wayne Community College. But again, I want to add too that, you know, I'm kind of amazed at some of the things you're saying, Keith, particularly because I didn't realize there were so many things that are going on at the Coleman Young International Airport. Now, when you mentioned ASX and then you mentioned Black Pilots of America, I don't think many or any of us actually even knew. I didn't know that there was a Black Pilots of America that even existed. So it's incredible some of the things that are going over there. Now, let me ask you this. I believe they have meetings, once a month, and which ones are open to the public? Maybe you could kind of shed a little light on that so people who have the free time can come over and actually become knowledgeable about it.
Okay, the Davis Advisory Board, that's the Davis High School, the advisory board. We meet every Tuesday at 1:30 at the airport. That's every Tuesday.
That's open to the public?
Open to the public, yeah.
Okay. And the location is the Coleman A. Young Municipal,
Airport.
Coleman A. Young International Airport, which is Connor and I-94. So
It's Connors and, let's say, Gratiot. That's the best way
Connor and Gratiot.
to say it. It's north of Gratiot
Uh-huh.
on
Okay.
Connor. If you were coming from 90, say if you were coming up, if you were going east on 94, you came up at Connor,
Mm-hmm.
on your right, you're going to see Wayne County Community College.
Mm-hmm. And on
Okay,
the
that's going
left.
south. You want to go north. You make the left, and you go north, and once you cross Gratiot, which is really just one more light up, you're at
The entrance.
airport.
Yeah, the entrance to the airport, yes.
Yeah.
And
the
what
airport technically stretches from Gratiot all the way to 6 Mile.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that's interesting, when you're on the freeway, for that exit, they have a sign with an airplane on it.
Yes.
Can't go wrong.
You're right.
Now, you say every Tuesday. What time are those meetings?
1:30.
1:30.
1:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
We meet every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, okay. That sounds
Open to
good.
the public, and we discuss a lot of topics at each meeting. We're making a lot of accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just had that addition put on, and that was $1 million, and not one dime came from the city of Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, tell me this. Is there a support action that the residents can do, non-residents, anybody that is interested in helping Benjamin Davis Aerospace School get reestablished on the airport grounds. Is there something that we can do?
Of course, there's always things. Everyone has so many different individual things that they've contributed over the years, ideas, input, assistance. When we have the events, like we have the fly-ins and stuff, we need people to help with the events and things. As far as getting the word out about what's going on, a lot of people don't even know that planes fly out of that airport.
Right.
They do every day. You can land a 727 at the Coleman A. Young Airport, but a lot of people don't know that. When Obama's wife, whenever she would come to the city of Detroit, guess where she lands?
Wow.
The city airport.
Yeah, you see all the security around there,
Right.
all the police, all the motorcycles, and
He probably would too, except his plane is too large.
Right, his can't land, hers can.
Right. I got
He's
you.
got to land at Southbridge or Metro, but she can come right here and just right back out.
Wow.
Yeah, then you got all the other events like Tyler Perry. When he comes, I think it's a 727, I think, too. He'll
Right.
land there.
He landed
Yeah.
there when he came
Yeah.
for the funeral they had for Aretha Franklin. He came into that airport.
He's been here several times.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the key people, when we have the big events, say with the big rock and roll concert going on downtown or something, well, guess where that plane is?
City airport.
Yeah, their band equipment and stuff might be loading up, going out to Metro Airport, but the stars are at Coleman A. Young Airport.
And
They're in and out in a few minutes.
Right.
And that makes a lot of sense too, because you don't have as many passengers to have to deal with. You can definitely control how the security works. They don't have to deal with thousands of passengers. It just makes good sense, logistically speaking.
It does. I agreed.
Yeah, and it's more friendly. It's almost like a family. The airport is. Once you get to know the people there and the environment, it's like another world. I was telling somebody that the other day. It's when I go up there, or when anybody goes up there, it's not like you're going to work, because of course I don't get paid or anything. But it's like it's like being in a soap opera. Because you never know what's going to be on the next episode, because things change every day.
Well,
but it's all right, because the people look like us.
Yes, and that also helps to build the pride in you and the members of your community. Just knowing that there are so many examples of excellence, so many examples of excellence.
Yeah, and
Yes.
coming up, like right now, there's a major shortage in the aviation industry of pilots and mechanics. The aviation industry is bigger than the automobile industry.
Absolutely. And by having the school in our area shut down, that curtails competition. And you think they'd be more concerned about qualified mechanics and qualified pilots than they are about preventing the young people in our community to be a part of that industry.
I said at the Citizen District Council meeting the other evening, I said back in the 40s, okay, we had where blacks can't fly.
What?
The Tuskegee Airmen proved them wrong. That was back in World War II.
Absolutely.
Tuskegee Airmen proved them wrong.
Right.
In the 60s, they said blacks can't count. We can't do math. Then came Hidden Figures. We proved them wrong because of the African American. That's how we got into the space race. If it hadn't been for our ability to do math and engineering.
Right.
But now in 2019, we're not allowed any of that anymore, it seems like. And especially they wanted to knock out aviation, said blacks don't need to learn aviation.
Yes.
Why would you take and even disrupt a school that has a greater graduation rate
Mm-hmm.
than Cass Tech,
Jeez.
higher test scores than Cass Tech,
Mm.
and the graduates are more associated as far as financially and constructively.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk to it, back into the community. In other words, you're not going to just graduate a child. You're going to graduate a person.
Right, right. And they can go on into a very lucrative career.
You can come right out of school and with your license. If I want to get the avionics back up, I mean, a kid coming out of high school, 18 years old, making 40-something plus grand a year in bed.
Hey, can't beat that with a stick, as they say. Wonder who comes up with these quotes. Mm-hmm.
All his buddies would be wanting to ride in his car with him.
You're right. Right. Oh, man, that's so good. Now, would it be beneficial for people to contact the superintendent at all, attend the school board meetings at all, bring up those facts that you were just sharing?
Oh, yes, definitely. Whenever there's a school board meeting or anything associated with aviation, ask the question, why?
Okay. Ask the question, why?
The
All
question is, why?
Okay.
If we did it before, we did it for years,
Mm-hmm.
why?
Why
would we
stop now? Okay. Well, we are down now to the last few minutes. I want to thank you so much, Keith Hines, for joining us this morning to share the information about DayTech and the fact that the Tuskegee Airmen are doing such a wonderful job. We appreciate you, Keith Hines, for the work that you do, and we encourage people to attend the meetings at the Detroit City Airport, formerly now known as the Coleman A. Young International Airport. And those meetings are every Tuesday, starting at 1:30 in the afternoon, to find out what is going on, the progress that's being made, and what you may be able to do to help with this project. So we look forward to you keeping us updated on what's going on, okay?
Yes, and this is a one-of-a-kind project. Nowhere
Yes.
else in the United States of America
Yes.
would they have anything like
All
this.
right. All right. Thank you so much. And we'll be talking to you again soon. And we
Thank you
appreciate...
guys for having me.
You're welcome. And we appreciate Wayne County Community College and the support that they are giving to this project that the Tuskegee Airmen have formulated. I want to let you know that it's not necessary for you to know everything. What is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. And we at Hood Research seek as much information as we can to share with you and enjoy and encourage you to do the same to help us all make better informed decisions, Thabiti.
If you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you finish. Make sure you're ready for 2020.
All right. And now?
And now stay tuned for Get in the Know with
Marley B. Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinga,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback.